where I just did never fit the norm. And at that time, I thought, I must be weird. There's something wrong with me. What's wrong with those people?
Yes.
But
Yeah.
so it's kind of been a theme throughout my life that I've just come to the conclusion for recently.
And good. And I guess, maybe you associate with what I was saying in Rebel Rising, how you didn't think it was different. You just want to be yourself and you don't want to conform or change.
Right.
And you want
Mm-hmm.
to be yourself and be accepted that way. And it's perfectly fine because then in turn, I think that we're very accepting of other people that stay as they want to stay. Our expectation of change is not as high as some other people because we don't want to change. We're okay as we are. And I
Mm-hmm.
mean, everyone has room for improvement. I see that, but within our own personality and what our, own, I guess, moral compasses or things that we want to find as that are important to us. So that's when all these stories come to mind. How you've been
Mm-hmm.
redefining normal before he even arrived. Then that's maybe why you
Yeah.
could adjust to that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I remember my mom saying, I always knew that once you made a decision, you were just going to do something and go for it.
Yes, good,
and,
good.
and that's,
Hasn't that been
that's how
true?
I've been. Yeah.
Good. At least your own mum could see it from a young age, and you haven't
Yeah.
changed, so you're at
Yeah.
least familiar within the family.
Yeah.
So when you think about that, I mean, it's been wonderful that your husband's support was so great from the beginning. But have you ever come across families that you've worked with that maybe they don't have that support? Maybe one family member is going one way, the other family member is going the other. How have you helped people kind of come as a like going down one road, be unified in their thinking over this?
Yeah, I have. And it really kind of just, it does break my heart when you'll see couples that are split and divided. But it's really a matter of, part of it is acceptance, and acceptance in the fact that it's kind of like the stages of grief that you go through as you're processing what is happening to your child and in your world and everything like that. So it's really like being accepting of, okay, this is where I am, and understanding that this is where you are. My husband processed everything so much faster than I did, but I knew and he knew that eventually I'd come along and I would be able to mentally process it. So that's one of the first things that I always recommend is, acknowledge and praise each other. This is a hard situation.
Yeah.
So you're processing it at the rate that you need to process it. I'm processing it how I need to process it. But let's talk to each other, because so many times it does create that barrier and that divider. And instead, let's talk to each other, communicate with each other, share our actual thoughts, share our feelings, and know that where we are is okay. Instead of, you're not where I need you to be, and this is what I think, and you don't agree with me. That's where the division comes in. And see, what, how can we compromise? My husband and I, we don't always agree on things, but we come to a place where we can compromise with each other too.
And I think that's so important in families. I think what you just said there now, I think a lot of people are going to resonate with. We don't always agree, but we have to come to a compromise. And if you want to raise a family together and stay within a marriage, because, I've been in a 27-year relationship and we haven't always agreed on things. And people say to me, oh my goodness, that's so long. And the phrase I use just to set them straight is, don't think I've tiptoed through the tulips with that man for 27 years. That's the phrase. That's all I can say. Then people go, oh,
Yeah.
I know what you mean. Okay, so there is that compromise that you sometimes have to make. And it doesn't mean you've backed down or you haven't got your own way. It's a meet in the middle where you go, okay, I'm gritting my teeth a little bit here, but it's okay. Good job, I've got strong teeth. It's okay, So I think that's so nice that you can think that way. I mean, thank goodness that he came to that decision, 9 years ago, immediately. Like, it's like you said, you got there, but he was like, okay. Now, what a strong man that was. And I've met your husband, actually, so that's why I can compliment him there, because I really liked when I met him, and he had that real enthusiasm for you, and you could see when you were speaking, when you were speaking at the event, he was very enthusiastic and all eyes on you when you were speaking. So just a very, very nice, committed father as well, and husband.
Yes.
You could really see that
He,
with him. That was
yes,
really nice
thank
to
you.
see. So even though you're talking about that, and maybe people on the air go, oh yeah, sure. But I've seen it with my eyes, and you didn't have to put on a show for me. I saw both of you together. Really lovely, strong, solid, looking relationship there. And that was good. He was definitely your cheerleader on that day. I can definitely say that and remember that.
Yes. Oh,
So
thank you.
talk
Yeah.
about mindset. So, we talk about, your husband had got his mindset lined up immediately. You got behind him and you said, right, this is how it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about how
Yeah.
you can help people with their mindset and the importance of how you think that can help you when you're in different positions with your family and children, relationships, everything where you have to go, this isn't really normal in some people's houses, but what is normal?
Right. Right. I say that, I ask that question a lot. What is normal?
Yeah.
Normal is something that everyone talks about, but no one knows what it is. It's a ruler with no numbers on it. So I think, mindset is huge with this. And a lot of times I go back to, we made that decision that day. And we made the decision also that we were going to do what was best for our son, for our child, our children, our families. And so we come back to that frequently. Even I just sent an email to the school this week as we're getting ready to do some yearly stuff. And I said, we always ask the question, what's best for my child? And
Yes.
that is truly, it's a decision that you have to make, but even more so, you have to own it. And really believe it and stand by it, because there's so many things in this world that can get thrown at you and come your way, and someone looks at you wrong, or they might say something funny about your kid that kind of puts dampers on you. And you just kind of gotta have a little bit of tough skin and just own it, that this is my mindset. I'm going to do what's best for my family no matter what. And I can tell a brief little story about one time we were at the mall when my son was young, and it was actually just right after his autism diagnosis. And it was a mall where there was a lot of stimulation and the carousel and all these different
Lots to
things
look
going
at.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I remember looking over, and he's laying down on the ground, having what would the average person would call, oh my gosh, this 4-year-old child's having a massive fit on the ground in the middle of the mall. And I was telling a friend this, and she's like, oh my goodness, what did you think about
Did you
everyone
get
else
him
staring
up?
at you?
Yes.
I said, honestly, I didn't notice
That would
anybody
be me. I
staring
wouldn't
at me.
notice. I'd be worried about who's on the floor. Let's
Yeah,
sort that out
yeah,
over there. What's happening over there?
yeah. I said, I don't have any idea what anybody else was thinking. All I knew was that I needed to get down on the ground and I needed to help him.
So did you lay on the ground with him while he was having that time
I
down there?
did.
You did? So he
I
felt comfortable
did.
and felt
Yeah,
good for
I
you?
knew that I needed to help calm him, help soothe him, help know that everything was going to be okay. So I got down on the ground. I didn't
Wonderful.
notice anybody else. And I go back to it was the day that I made that decision that I was going to do what was best for my family and what their needs were. And it was really in a matter of, it was probably only 2 or 3 minutes, but it seemed like 10 minutes for other people.
Yes.
But, I had him up, and we were walking and going throughout the mall and throughout our day, and everything was fine. But had I have been really concerned about what everybody else thought, it could have turned into a really big disaster really fast.
You know what's really interesting from that story that you said there? I've had a parent say to me before, which I proudly say, he said to me about 5 years ago, whoa, you're sure a mama bear, aren't you? And I said, is that good or bad? He said, I see you have your daughter's back in every situation. I've never seen anything like it. He said, anything said, you're there. Anything is happening, you're there. And I said to him simply, well, don't you have your kids back in everything? Even if, not if you don't, I'm not saying if you agree or disagree, but shouldn't they be able to turn to the left and right and go, okay, here she is, whether she's coming rooting for me or not, she's coming, So
Yes.
he said, wow, you've got a mama bear mentality, like, oh, don't do that, I'm here. And I said, yes. I said, because when your kids look left or right, they should be able to see you. And again, you heard what I said earlier about my parents. That's what I knew. That's what I saw. And at the time I thought, oh, they're there again. But I didn't think that in a bad way, because I always knew they would be there, So it is, I mean, you going on the floor that day had him down there going, okay, Mom, how are we going to deal with this? What are we going to do?
Yeah.
Mom's
Yeah.
down here. If you'd have screamed at him and stared at him like everybody else, you may have probably caused problems maybe 5 minutes later somewhere else in the mall. Who knows what he would have done past that. So that shows your incredible patience as well that you've got, and that love that you had. And you said he was around 4 years old when he did that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So can you see the thing that, you laying there? I hope that if somebody walked by and saw a mother laying there, I hope they would think, well, she's good. she's good. Look at what she's doing. She's trying to figure this
Yeah.
out that way. Because that's how I would
Right.
look at that. But then again, we talk about, I have a different mindset to others. I would look and go, okay, that's her way of
Right.
figuring that out. She needs to lay down there. Let's get her a tea while she's laying down there.
Yeah.
That mama needs a tea. Come on, there's a tea shop right there. Stay there, I'm coming back with a tea. So I would be doing that. So you're right, it's down to the mindset and what your family has become used to. So when you think about now, okay, he's aged 4. At what age did the other children come along? I'm trying to figure out the age here. You've got small ones.
Yep. So our second one, Phoebe, she'll be 5 in July. So it was about then.
Okay.
So she's 4.5 now. Yep. And then 2 years later, Brexley came along.
Excellent. Now, and I hope you don't mind me saying this, a lot of people, because you had to do more work with your first, they would have been put off expanding the family. They would have thought, okay, this is enough work for me. This is all I can do. There's nothing left in me. What made you make the decision to expand the family to not just 2, but 3?
Yeah.
Because it makes a difference. When I went from 2 to 3, you've got an extra wheel there. There's an extra one. There's another one just rolling around looking for someone else.
Just hoping we keep her along with us.
Yes, yeah. So how did you make that
it
decision and
was
stand by it?
Yeah, because it is a hard decision because his diagnosis of tuberous sclerosis is a genetic condition. And so it's something that was spontaneous in our family. It's nowhere along the lines, anything like that. But, we really, when we thought about it, we're like, we want more children to be blessed with.
Yeah.
And, and we asked ourselves, would we do anything different? And we said, no. Because our son has blessed us in so many ways that we could never imagine. Like, he teaches us more about life than we could ever teach him. And that's on a daily basis. And so the thought of us having more children, and also for him to have a sibling, to play with, to fight with.
Yes.
And, and all of those fun kinds of things. And then, and then Brexley came along.
Yes.
So, yeah, but it's just so much fun to see them all together. And, when I think about how the girls just totally love on their brother, they don't see him as any different. I know they're still young.
But what's beautiful is they don't see the difference now. So when it comes to a time of sticking up for him in any situation at school, they're there. That's good. They're already known because they will think, well, why has someone said that to him? I don't understand why they said that. Oh, I'll soon put them straight. Not that I'm encouraging, fisticuffs at school. I'm not saying that. But they will go over in that protective manner. Or would she? One of mine would as well. I won't mention which one, but one I've got would do the same for anyone who was in trouble, which is nice. Which is nice in a way, but not when you get a call from the school because they did it when they shouldn't have. So can you see by creating that within their home space, when they go outside of the home and they see different people maybe staring or saying something or not quite understanding the whole concept to how you're handling him in a situation, while the girls will think, oh, well, Mum's just sorting that out, we need to go and help with that, or we need to wait. If they've had to wait, if he takes a bit more of your time and do different things, well, for one, they've got their dad to do things with them if he's taking a bit more time with you, or vice versa, if dad's taking a bit of time with him. They've got each other, which is another great thing. But they also, I know that you will have given them enough attention in the time on their own and within the family that they don't step back and feel neglected and think, well, he's getting all the time because he's, needs more time and more things done for him.
Yeah.
But that's, I guess, how you've sculpted your family for them all to lodge in together and do things to kind of support what he's doing.
Yes. Yeah, that's absolutely it. And, I giggled tonight because I was emailing with one of the physicians and I said, would you just please go ahead and put a note in Phoebe and Dexter's files that they don't take liquid medicine, they only do pills. And the nurse emailed back and said, Phoebe, only pills? It's my 4-year-old. And she's like, wow.
That's so different. Talk about redefining normal. I don't even know a 4-year-old that can swallow a pill. Wow.
Like, that's the benefits of having a brother who takes pills 3 times a day, and that's your normal.
Yeah, because that's the opposite. Like, normally it's liquid only to, age 8? And even 8, you're pushing it when they swallow it. They gag on it for don't know how long. Yeah. And so you try again at age 10. Right.
We had him at 6 and her at 4.
Wow. So she's on the ball already. Look at her.
Yeah. So, it's those things. And even the 2-year-old knows that those are his pills and we don't touch them. that's normal for our household.
Yeah, good.
And so, which is very not normal for anybody else's household, and it's hard to fathom.